It's Throwback Thursday, and I'm Jared, and you're watching GameGuardians Genesis. This Thursday features Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. This is one of the most popular and well-beloved entries in the series, while the other next popular is Majora's Mask. I've played Ocarina of Time once before, and the time that you're seeing in the background, the most recent time, I did far better. I made it much further into the game than before better, which still isn't that very far into the game. The game was originally released for the N64 on November 23rd, 1998 in the US, and November 21st, 1998 in Japan. Ocarina of Time was then remastered and re-released on the 3DS in June 2011. However, today's focus is on the N64 version. I'm also going to add that they ported it over to GameCube and the Wii Virtual Console and the Wii U Virtual Console, but those are exactly identical to the N64 version, so we're just going to focus mostly on the N64 specifically. Alright, the plot. Alrighty, I'm going to do it again. Spoiler alert! Set 10 years after the Hyrulean Civil War, we find Link, the player, suffering from repeated nightmares of a girl fleeing from an evil man clad in black. As the guardian of the Kokiri Forest, the great Deku Tree dies, he summons Link to him. After testing Link's courage, the tree entrusts Link with the spiritual stone of the forest and sends him to meet with Princess Zelda. After sneaking into the castle, Link speaks with Zelda, who sends him to go grab the other two spiritual stones. After helping the Gorons of Death Mountain and the Zoras of Zora's Domain, Link receives the other two spiritual stones and returns to Hyrule Castle. Upon his return, Zelda speeds past Link on a horse and throws the Ocarina of Time into the moat for him to retrieve. With the final piece to unlock the door of time, Link enters and acquires the Master Sword. However, Ganondorf follows Link in and grabs the Triforce. Link becomes locked in the Sacred Realm, and Ganondorf spends the next 7 years looking for the other two pieces of the Triforce, because they split whenever he grabbed it. After Link finally reappears, he is sent by Sheik, which is just Zelda in a disguise, to go free the 6 sages from the legend that also referred to the Triforce and the Master Sword earlier on. Zelda is captured, and with the help of the sages though, Link confronts Ganondorf in his tower. After Ganondorf's defeat, everything is sent back to normal and Link is sent back to his normal time. With his memory of the events, Link seeks out Zelda to prevent it from happening ever again. Alrighty, the facts. Fact number 1. Ocarina of Time is the first game to receive a perfect score from Famitsu magazine, only one of 14 games to do so. 2 of the other ones are also Legend of Zelda games. Other achievements include G4's and Nintendo Power's declaration of that Ocarina of Time is one of the best games, is the best game ever, of all time. It was also listed as the highest ranking game of all time by Guinness World Records 2008 Gamers Edition, and the 2010 edition of the Gamers Guinness World Records lists Legend of Zelda as the most critically acclaimed game of all time. And finally, it is also the highest scoring game of all time on Metacritic at a 99 out of 100. Fact number 2. Ocarina of Time was supposed to be the flagship game for the N64 DD, which was just a modified version of the N64 that used a magnetic disc. But due to repeated and extensive delays, the game was moved back to the standard N64. But because of limitations on memory, the game only loads what is directly in front of the camera and nowhere else. Therefore, none of the world is loaded to the sides of the camera or directly behind the camera. There's also very little voice acting, and also there was additional content cut from the game, both side effects from the lack of extra room on the cartridge. Fact number 3. The game is literally the point in the series where the 3 timelines, Downfall, Child, and Adult timelines split. It's also worth noting that in every timeline, Ganondorf appears to be re-erected. A notable difference between earlier versions and version 1.2 was the modification of the Fire Temple music and the Gerudo symbol. The music featured an Islamic prayer chant, while the symbol was changed from an inverted crescent moon and star, often associated with Islam, to the originally created symbol found in most newer games. This was to go along with Nintendo's policy of not adding religious symbolism into games, and not because of public scrutiny. Just also worth a note. Fact number 5. Ocarina of Time was the first Zelda game to become available in China. Thanks to the iQ Player, Nintendo's localized and upgraded N64, the Chinese version is also highly sought after because it lacks the lag at various cutscenes and contains faster dialogue scrolls, both features which are helpful for speedruns. The current fastest speedrun time is 17 minutes and 47 seconds for just any completion, and 4 hours, 24 minutes, and 15 seconds for a 100% completion. I was unable to find out what version the 100% completion was on, but the fastest time for just any completion was actually done on the Wii Virtual Console, which is just the emulation of the N64 version and not the iQ player. Anyways, here's the review of the game. Well, I can't say personally much about this game because it appears that I am horrible at any of the N64 games. I can say that it looks to have like a solid story and lots of pot smashing. One of the negatives is just like kind of like the helping characters. While they're very helpful, they actually give great info, they're just rather annoying. They kind of get in your way at times and slow you down. Also, but if you input a custom name, it seems like they force your name into conversations at times. But I mean, that's just a little detail. Anyways, me personally, I have to give it a 7. But before we all start rioting, I just had no investment in the story because I couldn't play the game. I also just got very frustrated at the camera, which also because of the helping, like the aid characters like Navi, I would go and try to put it in the first-person camera, but instead it would just keep popping up her text chat, like her tip against a monster. I'm like, I would like to see what's ahead of me. Anyways, if you have any questions, hate mail, or just plain gibberish, put in the comments below and come back next week for more Throwback Thursday on GameGuardians Genesis.